My name is Thelka Aronson, and I invite you to join me on the roller coaster ride of the CFO Case Study Competition 2019. As part of its pursuit to transform education in Africa, the Charter Quest Institute South Africa a few years ago embarked on a journey to, on an annual basis, but only after multiple stages of team assessments, bring some of the brightest young students from across the globe to South Africa to contest in the CFO Case Study Competition, global and continental finals, challenging the students to prove that they can compete at the highest level by solving a set of complex and integrated finance, operational, strategic, and ethical problems that beset a real-world global business in the emerging market. Split between the Global University Edition and the Continental High Schools version, the semi-finals and finals of the 4th edition of this ever-growing initiative took place on the 15th and 16th of October 2019 at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, where 11 teams were battling it out in front of an international panel of industry expert judges with one goal in mind: to get to the top spot. The 2019 case study was based on a set of challenges that the Volkswagen Group was facing in the aftermath of the emissions scandal that shocked the world a few years ago. The teams had worked tirelessly for months with the hope of putting their best foot forward and provide the judges with solutions, but to ultimately prove that they have what it takes to succeed in the tough world of finance and business. Pleasantries had been exchanged, and the stage was now set for a fierce competition. Next up to present to the panel what they had been working on for months was Team UMCC from the University of Münster, Germany. Don't go anywhere. After the break, we get to see the impression that they left the judges with during their presentations.
UMCC Germany can come up now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are Team UMCC from the University of Münster from Germany. My name is Carmen, and these are my colleagues Michael, Kevin, and Ann-Kathrin. With this presentation today, we would like to present you our solution for the current 5 issues of the Volkswagen Group. First, I will give you a short insight into the executive summary, and then we will explain you our solution for the issues according to our prioritization. And in the end, Michael will wrap everything up. After a detailed analysis of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the Volkswagen Group, we came to the conclusion that by this prioritization, the Volkswagen Group will be able to use their multi-brand empire and their worldwide production capacities in order to improve the damaged brand image due to the diesel issue and the competitive drawback in e-mobility. Furthermore, we are convinced that by focusing on the emerging markets in general and leading the European markets, the Volkswagen Group is able to face stronger regulations and the unstable conditions in the emerging markets. As proven by the decision markets, the partnership is the perfect type of cooperation. However, we are convinced that Panasonic is not a suitable partner for that anymore due to the deteriorated relationship of the two companies. Supplier 2, with its only reasonable quality and the lower than average battery range, would contradict VW's quality standards. And Supplier 4, because of the high distances, would lead to high shipping and transport costs and would lead to high exchange risks. Therefore, we are convinced that a partnership with Supplier 3 would be the perfect option because of the good quality and the short distances. We are aware of the higher prices, but these are compensated by the absence of the exchange risks And for the problem of the limited resources, we already have a solution in our portfolio rationalization that Ann-Kathrin will tell you later more about. But first, let's focus on the environmental legislation.
Thank you, Carmen. The question that we have asked ourselves was, is it really necessary to invest in modular electric drive matrix applicable to conventional engines as well as the production of electric vehicles? Short answer, yes it is. But why? First of all, this technology has the potential to make VW the industry new leading example of combining profitable business with the protection of our environment. And in addition to that, the increased focus on sustainability will make the group's products significantly more attractive to its customers. We believe that if the group wants to follow through on their strategy 2025 Roadmap E, this technology is crucial. If they want to be successful in the future, they have to be able to build electric vehicles and be able to adapt fossil fuel engines to possibly changing environmental standards. Now, as we all know, today cobalt is needed for the production of batteries. Kevin, can you tell us a little more about its strategic sourcing?
Sure, thank you. Today, Volkswagen faces a fundamental decision regarding the strategic sourcing of cobalt. In 2017, the worldwide mine production of cobalt accounted 110,000 tons and 73,000 tons were produced by the Democratic Republic of Congo. They're mainly by big operators. Therefore, only buying from the big mining giants can cover the demand and will guarantee a continuous supply of the highly requested raw material. Nevertheless, the mining operators cannot meet the price per unit you advertise in your tender. So we urgently recommend to renegotiate to be able to realize your element number 6 battery technology as a core competence. Since other car manufacturers like Renault already try to develop batteries without any cobalt, in 5 to 10 years it probably will be substituted. And this is why we think you have to think in a shorter scale. Cautiously assuming that the needed amount of cobalt could be reduced by 30% after the predicted development for the next 2 years, the maximum price per unit could be raised up to around 36,000 euros per ton. And the total volume would decrease down to 65%. Although the maximum price per unit would raise up, you could save around 20 billion euros after 7 years by reducing cobalt. Now, Ann-Kathrin will go on and show you how to save money with restructuring.
Thank you, Kevin. So the comprehensive restructuring Volkswagen is dealing for concerns the group structure itself, the prioritization of the 3 segments, and the geographical decentralization. The centralization of certain functional units can improve decision processes, leads to leaner management and cost optimization. Based on the potential saving probabilities in the different categories, as you can see here, the highest savings can be achieved in marketing at 2.5%. Those savings have an enormous positive effect on current and future results, even under the assumption that in 2018 costs will be incurred for the restructuring. To conclude, the centralization of the units that are responsible for procurement, HR, and marketing can increase the 2018 result by 9.8 billion euros.
Thank you. This chance of saving money also raises the question if a similar approach in terms of centralizing all brands' geographical strategies would be as profitable as centralizing functional units. But different markets bring different challenges, and a broad and competitive positioning of Volkswagen is essential. Hence, each segment should maintain its own concept, but we recommend to establish distinguished strategy programs. There we have the GFP, the Global Front-Runner programs. On the segments, we have the GFP Volume, which concentrates on e-mobility. On the other hand side, we have the GFP Premium Plus, which concentrates on defending market share, because premium and super premium are the segments that gain most of the profit for Volkswagen. Then on the other hand side, we have for brands the GFP Emerging Markets, which concentrates on gaining market share in emerging markets, and we have the GFP Developed Countries, which concentrates on clean mobility in developed countries. That's it for now for restructuring, and Ann-Kathrin will go on with rationalization.
Thank you, Kevin. The portfolio rationalization mainly concerns two challenges: the identification of car models that are loss-making and the price reduction of the volume range in key emerging markets. Based on the first quarter results of 2018, it can be concluded that the volume range is the most inefficient of the three segments, which is why loss-making car models should be identified in the segments. Regarding the numbers of cars sold in 2017, inefficient car models can be identified under the assumption that the car model is loss-making if it does not sell more than 50,000 times, as for example, the models Toledo and Me with only 13,000 units sold in 2017. By stopping the production of those car models, Volkswagen can progressively achieve its desired slim production portfolio. At the same time, even if in total the volume segment is kind of inefficient, our second recommendation is to reduce the prices of certain models in the key emerging markets, since those markets show an enormous growth potential. But to be sure that only the price of those models is reduced that are in particular demand, a market analysis has to be carried out at first. Following this strategy, Volkswagen can build a strong customer base and use those customers to and win also customers for the e-mobility segment in the future, which is only one segment that will lead Volkswagen into a sustainable future, which will Maike tell you about now more.
Thank you. To conclude, following our strategy, the Volkswagen Group will remain a leader in the automobile industry through constant innovation. They will also ensure fair working conditions for employees all along the value chain, and provide a clear vision of the future based on their core competencies. The Volkswagen Group will offer more environmentally friendly product choices, and by that contribute to the worldwide reduction of CO2 and other pollutants. Following Team UMCC strategy, we believe that Volkswagen will achieve all this whilst remaining profitable in the short term and the long term. Thank you very much. We're now open to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much, Team UMCC. We really enjoyed your presentation. I just have two areas that I would like to clarify. You make two statements that seem a bit contradictory to me, so just help me. So you said we should identify loss-making cars to cease their production, and we should also reduce prices in the volume range in key emerging markets. Okay, now, you've already told us that part of the areas where we're making losses is the volume segment, right? And when you look at emerging markets, especially on the African continent, our biggest sales area is the volume segment, right? Now, how do we reduce the price in those markets when we already know that that segment is loss-making, which means we will be making further losses? How does that help the strategy that you are helping us to come to in terms of turning around our fortunes if we're going to sink further into loss-making in emerging markets?
Okay, as we said, a geographical decentralization is really important, and the strategies between the different markets have to be different. So in the emerging markets, we are focusing on the strategy including the price reduction of certain models, only of certain models that are in particular in demand, to make not the same mistake as Volkswagen did with the WV Up, which wasn't in demand. So we see the price reduction of certain models as a kind of investment to win customers, because as the studies shown in those markets are a huge market growth, and there is still a low car density, and to satisfy this rising demand, our strategy is the price reduction as an investment, even if today it seems kind of unprofitable.
All right. Then, just clarify for me, you also make another statement. Increased focus on sustainability would make VW cars more attractive. Okay. So how? And are you saying we're going to make more money? How's that going to help us?
By that, we meant that, for example, with the diesel issue, we believe that a lot of customers have lost their trust in the Volkswagen Group. And by keeping our promises and stepping into the future with 2 feet, we believe that this will make the Volkswagen Group regain the customers' trust. Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. You mentioned something about the diesel issue. Can you please, because I missed it here, what is the real plan that you're going to do with diesel issue? What is the expected recommendation that we need to do? And secondly, can I see where based on your recommendation, what will be the financial implications of that recommendation? Because at the end of the day, you mentioned that we will remain profitable both in short term, and I want to understand what is the estimation in that sense.
So your question is, sorry, so just to make sure that I understand
So I
well.
will segment it a bit first. You mentioned that
What exactly our strategy is.
No, so you recognize there is a diesel issue. So can you please help me out to understand what are you going to do, or what is the recommendation to mitigate the diesel issue? That's the first part. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I would like to understand what is the financial implication of that recommendation.
Okay, to the first part, the diesel issue meant that, like I said, that customers could not trust the Volkswagen Group anymore as much as before. And that's why we prioritize, for example, e-mobility strategy and the Paris Accord and the legislation so highly to mitigate that, because we want to. It might seem like quite a radical strategy, but we believe that this is really necessary to undo the mistakes maybe that the Volkswagen Group has made before. Does that answer your question?
Because what I cannot link is you recommend something, and at the end you conclude that we're going to remain profitable in the short term. But I cannot see what is the financial implication of those recommendations. So I noticed that you mentioned, yes, we're going to do more e-vehicles, we're going to push for the Paris Accord resolution, so on. But for me, it's still not clear what are going to be the financial implications.
Of exactly the investment in the MEB technology?
For example, for that, or also for the Paris Accord, are you plan to?
Okay, for example, by investing in this technology that is able to produce electric vehicles and adapt the fossil fuel engines, we avoid getting fined because VW car models won't exceed the limit of this 99 gram limit. And yeah.
And you have to see it all over. So, for example, the savings of the reduction from cobalt, there you have, if you can raise the price maximum per ton to 36,000 per ton, then you have a saving of 20 billion euros, because you said that you want to spend 50 billion euros. So through the reduction, there are 20 billion euros free, and you have to invest this, for example, in the MEB or other strategies. So we see it all together, all issues, all solutions for the issues, as one thing to go into the future, to prepare.
Thank you for the presentation. Just on you selected supplier 3, just go through your thinking for me, because if I look in terms of supplier 3, although they have got very good quality, they won't, in 2023, they won't be able to supply us everything that we require. As we're looking for a long-term strategy, what was your thinking in the middle of your 2025 strategy, which will present a significant risk and challenge?
Thank you for the question. Exactly. The supplier 3 has limited resources until 2024, and we are aware of that. But because we selected the type of partnership as the type of cooperation, we will work together with them. So as you might notice in the presentation part of Ann-Kathrin, we will have some free capacities because we will slim down our product portfolio. So we will have free production plans, for example, in Germany that we can offer to supplier 3 and support them in producing the batteries. And also we have we have a big R&D section, so we can help them with finding new solutions and improving the whole process. So we work with them together, and so right now the limited resources will be enough until 2024, but our plan is, because we work together, we can exceed these limits, so we will be able to exceed this limit after 2024.
Hi. Thank you very much for your presentation. I know we can seem intimidating, but we're not. So I don't have many questions for you. I did wonder again why you put Cobalt as 3 when you're choosing to partner. It's a similar question to the previous group, but I'm more interested in asking you this question, and this is a question that I'm interested to see how you see this. You're talking to the board. Honestly, what do you think are the challenges in putting this strategy 2025, 50 million vehicles with battery power, electric power? What is it that is not contained here? What do you, in your estimation, having studied this, having researched this, what are the problems that are not being contained in this case study? And if you would like me to explain.
Okay, I hope you got you right. And first of all, the problem is the goal is really ambitious and it sounds really good, but it's not only the problem of Volkswagen, for example. There are other persons or other organizations, politicians. All of this is important. When we now have a look on Europe, for example, and the infrastructure for charging e-vehicles, there are just not enough stations, for example. So it's not just a problem that you can solve by yourself. So you have to work together with, for example, politicians or other organizations.
That was Team UMCC leaving their mark, hoping to claim one of the top 3 spots in the global finals of the CFO 2019 case study competition as their own. But was their performance enough to push them through? Catch us next week to find out if these teams were able to rise to the occasion. Do you think you have what it takes to be a strategic business leader? Well, why not register for the CFO 2020 Global and Continental Case Study Competition? Registrations are open from November to March every year. Go and visit our website at this address to find out more.